A shout out to Ge.Holla and
Hey, GeHolla, G.Holla.
Ge.Holla, shout me to God here, man.
All y'all said entertainers, shout out my guy Ge.Holla.
Rocking right now with Ge.Holla, Celebrity Life.
Shout out to Ge.Holla, reaching 1 million listeners on his podcast.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show this great young man right here. I mean, this young man is a filmmaker. He is a creator. He is a visionary, a walking dictionary. Y'all gonna get some good game, some good wisdom from this young man.
Arthur Muhammad, and I grew up in Dallas. So I went to elementary school, everything in Dallas, and eventually went to Carter High, which is in Oak Cliff. And from Carter High, I ended up getting a football scholarship and went to SMU. But to center it more around what I do now as far as filmmaking goes, when I was in elementary school, of course, I don't remember much of anything of elementary school, but one thing I do remember is that we had a project. And with that project, we had to take an action figure, and you would move it a little bit and take a picture, and then move it a little bit more, take a picture, move it a little bit more, take a picture. We did this several times. And then when you took these photos and ran them through a projector, it made it look like that the image was actually moving. And that's something, as far as assignment goes, that's the only thing I remember ever about elementary school. And that's always stuck with me. And so, but I never even thought about making movies. That was not even a thought in my mind. But I do know that particular assignment activity, I always remembered it. So, and like I said, I went to Carter High, and at Carter, when you play football, the only thing you thought about most, if not all, the football players is going to play in the pros. So that was my whole thought process, that I was going to play professional football. And so again, in high school, I had one job when I was in high school, and I worked at a movie theater. And back, in Oak Cliff, anybody from the Dallas area, Oak Cliff, I don't know how many people watching this is familiar with it, but if you are, you're familiar with cinema, Redbird Cinema 1 through 4 and 5 through 10. And so I worked at Redbird Cinema 1 through 4. And I would watch, when I was working there, it was when Spike Lee film came out, Do the Right Thing. And I remember watching the movie over and over and over again and being so fascinated with the film. And even during this time, one of my friends, Darius Smith, his mom had a VHS camera. And so we would always be doing little skits and stuff, with the camera. And I was always the one, for the most part, like, I don't know if you could call it directing then. We definitely didn't call it directing then, but we just was making little skits, with the camera. And I was the one telling people, guiding the action, so to speak. And again, never really thinking about making movies. My whole focus and process and thought process was playing professional football. Well, I did, I was blessed, got a football scholarship and went to SMU. And so while I was at SMU, it was the first time that I saw in the pamphlets, where you could look at and see what you want to major in, and the classes you want to take, where I saw cinema. It offered that you can actually major in cinema. And that really stood out, to me, like, wow, okay. But again, my focus still is on football. But now I was introduced, from elementary school, high school, now college, it still keep coming around, the cinema, the filmmaking, but my mindset was still on football. Well, I ended up tearing my ACL. Like, I played a lot as a freshman, and like the 9th game of the season, I tore my ACL and ended up, a new coach came in my sophomore year, and even though I was starting and everything, me and the coach didn't, kind of like see eye to eye, so to speak. And as I look back on that, there was probably it was more or less me and not him, even though if I felt like I was being done wrong, I'm going to school on a free scholarship. Look, just do what you supposed to do. But my focus again was playing professional football for whatever reason. That was just my mindset. Ended up transferring, going to another school, played one more semester, and ended up just leaving school, getting a job. But in that process, after I left school, now this is when I really started to focus on the filmmaking aspect. Bought a camera, 16 millimeter film camera, and just started working on like a short film and then another project. Long story short, even though I made this story a little bit longer, but I ended up making my first feature film, Solitaire. And after that, haven't looked back. That film got distribution, and that was a long time ago. And so I've been making films ever since then. And I've done about 17 feature films since then. And one of the films that I did do was Carter High. And that particular movie, when it came out, because we had a limited theatrical release, when it came out, the first school I went to, SMU, had me come back and talk to, the filmmaking class, and also gave me the opportunity to come back to school to finish my degree, my bachelor's. And not only did they give me that opportunity, they gave me all my credits and, for my filmmaking, my work experience. So they gave me all my filmmaking class credits. So that really helped me out, and ended up getting my bachelor's in film, and went on and got my master's in film from Vermont College of Fine Art. Well, one thing, don't take that, your dreams and your passions for granted. Stay focused. And when I say stay focused, if you ever had a magnifying glass, and that when that sunlight hit that magnifying glass and whatever it's focused on, it'll burn a hole in it. And it will burn you actually physically if you put that magnifying glass on it. So whatever goals, whatever dreams you have, focus on it, because it all begins in your mind first. The thought process. And a lot of times we pray for things and we wait for that inspiration, or we wait for the answer. Well, every time you pray for something, we have to know that the answer is most times, it comes so fast that we don't even get it. It goes right by us. So, but we expecting maybe for a abracadabra spook God to come and knock on your door or to call your phone. But those answers come from other people or other circumstances. So whenever you pray for something, know and focus on it, and then wait for that answer, listen for that answer, because it's coming immediately. So I hope that helps someone somewhere. Also, just to give you just a little, from my like I told you about my first feature film, right? But let me tell you this part about it. When I made my first feature film, like I said, I shot it on film, 16 millimeter film. And when you shoot on film, it's totally different than shooting on your cell phone or shooting digital these days. When you shoot on film, you can't see the image that's being processed and developed. You have to take that film and get it processed and developed, and then you get to see what you shot. So that means your shutter speed and your all those little things need to be mathematically correct, or your film will not be processed correctly, or it could be very underexposed or overexposed. So your f-stops, your shutter speed, and all that things have to be right. So I'm saying, I like to say, when I was shooting this movie, I was always leery about that part. So whenever I sent my film to the lab to get it processed, I would always check, and they would say, yes, it's good, Miss Muhammad, everything's fine. I send another roll, it's good, everything's fine. Send another roll, it's good. Lo and behold, one day I get a phone call, and they say, we think you need to come down here and look at this. There was a problem. So I go to look at the film, and not all the film, but just some roles had these light streaks going through it. And I was like, what in the world is that? And what had happened, my shutter and my camera had broken and it stayed open. So it was letting too much light in. So all of that footage had these ghostly looking, streaky type things in it. I couldn't buy no more film because it was very expensive. I had one more roll left. So just to get film processed and developed was expensive. So I had one more roll left. So I said, I'm gonna take this roll of film. I shot the necessary scenes that I needed, but then I shot one more scene. And that scene was the main character waking up from a dream. And all of those streaky, ghostly looking things that you saw in the movie was him dreaming. So that's how I got that movie done. And that's how we got distribution. Oh, yes, sir, definitely, because the independent filmmakers needed more than that. All that money goes to Warner Brothers for the most part. I mean, it's good, for Ron Coogler, it's a good branding, thing. But as far as monetary and lifting up the community and really helping the storytellers, the independent filmmakers, that's what we need,